action up in double time. James analyzing every line. Paul's out of sync, but they don't care. Three minds tangled, but they're always there.
Is that you, John Wayne? Is this me? Hello and welcome to Seismic Cinema. I'm James. I put an essay on it. Paul has watched something, or usually everything, in the wrong order. And Colin.
I've usually not seen it.
What's happening, mate? You okay?
Yeah, I'm good. How are you?
Aye, I'm alright, mate. I'm good.
You have an early night last night?
No, mate, it was actually well, I know. I was just checking off all socials, to be honest with you. I was checking the socials to see if
Barry Ferguson's sitting with his phone on his bedside table, buzzing away.
I was checking to see if someone had been sacked yet from the Rangers job, but he hasn't been. I came in for the game yesterday and I was just kind of watching like podcasts and YouTube clips and all that sort of stuff. You know what I mean? Just going down that rabbit hole. But I angered myself that much. I just came off the socials and then just started doing schoolwork. So there we go. That's my Saturday night.
Funny, I did the exact same as you. So
there you go.
Rangers rabbit hole followed by schoolwork.
Indeed. Anyway, people know here to listen to about us and Rangers. So you're here to listen to us talk about Full Metal Jacket, which we'll go into in a wee second. But before that, we'll do some housekeeping. You can follow us on Twitter, Instagram, Threads, TikTok, Blue Sky, and Facebook. You can watch and listen to us on YouTube and Spotify. Spotify for creators, Good Pods, Apple Podcasts, Audio Music, and pretty much anywhere you've got your podcast.
I worry about this episode if you can't even say the word podcast.
It's an early in the morning shot, so it's not too early now, I suppose. But aye. And we are part of the Podpack Collective, just a group of indie podcasters. If you want to go and check them out, they're on Twitter. I'm sure you'll find something that interests you. And we shout out to It's a Script, a Glasgow-based movie review podcast. Good friends of the pod. Their last episode was Anger Management. Adam Sandler and Jack Nicholson. Got halfway through it. Good listen so far. So if you haven't checked them out before, go and check them out now.
I think they should sponsor our videos.
To be fair, they give us a shout out as well, mate. So we
could sponsor each other.
Aye. I got a wee bit tight on their Facebook. On their podcast this week. Apparently I ignored Craig, which is not my intention. I do apologise. Anyway, so it's been a week since we last recorded. So we did record the last recording was Plaything, the Black Mirror episode. And before that we recorded Fight Club, which is doing not too bad.
That feels ages ago.
It is ages ago, mate. It is ages ago. Between scheduling and Paul, we'll leave it at that. Sitting at 203 subscribers now on YouTube, so we're getting closer to the 225 mark. So go and subscribe to the channel on YouTube. It doesn't cost you anything. Just smash that button and help the podcast grow. All right, buddy. What have you been watching since the last time I spoke to you?
Just before I do that, I'm going to make this a weekly segment. The Ring is on 2.2 thousand views now.
Oh.
And Police Academy is at 3.4k.
Move it.
Which is crazy.
Well,
that film had a lot of training sequences, so maybe this one will do as well.
Very much so.
So what have I been watching? I've kind of given up on Peacemaker. I was kind of enjoying it. I just haven't went back to it. I did start watching Severance again because, again, a bit of a theme. I'd paused that as well. I've kind of paused it again. But on the plus side, I have actually been watching a fair bit of Dexter, which you'll be glad to know.
All right. I felt like it was a wee bit of peer pressure though, Colin, I'm not going to lie. I mean, Paul came in the chat and asked me if I'd watched the last episode, and I felt you were a wee bit pressured into watching
Well,
it.
I had like started it a couple of times before, so it wasn't totally out of scope. But this is the first time where I think maybe because it's on Netflix now. Netflix does that thing, as you know, like it just starts the next episode when you're not even finished the first one. So, I think I will go with it because it's not actually as long as I thought it was. It's like what 12 episodes a season, 8 seasons. 12 episode seasons aren't actually that bad compared to so maybe 24 was quite a lot more episodes. Lost quite a few episodes, that kind of thing. So.
You've got Dexter on Netflix though. You've got Dexter, that's the original run. Then you've got what's it called again now? Well, you've got Resurrection, which is the new one. It's just came out. You've got Dexter Rebirth. I can't remember the name of it now. Name escaped me.
One
But
step
they
at
are
a
both
time.
not on. They're not both. They're not on Netflix. So you're going to have to try and see if Now TV's got them.
I'll just focus on the original run at the moment.
Aye.
Also, I was watching. Took a wee you're a Bigfoot's my kind of like nature documentaries. There was a guy. It's on Disney Plus, and he went to like Antarctica to film loads of whales feeding, and he just does mental things like goes like underwater with sharks and stuff like that. It's just quite a good wee watch. Like a video, that's his job. He takes photos of animals in their natural habitats, but he's just a bit mental. Some of the things he does.
I think I've seen that. Is it? Was it an octopus or something like that? I've seen. I can't remember now. I think
I
it's
watched
sharks.
a couple of episodes. The next one, the one I've most recently started is one where he's with like lions and that, just like right up close to them. So, I don't know. I just quite enjoy those kind of things.
Aye, no, like me too, mate. Sometimes I mean, like, obviously Bigfoot's not been on for a while for me, mate. So it's I'm getting frustrated at that. I watched all, as I said there, I watched all Dexter. Fantastic viewing, honestly. The whole season, what a cast it was as well, mate. Do you know what I mean, you'll like it because Peter Dinklage is in it, Terry Lannister. You've got Uma Thurman as well in it, and some of the kind of older cast who are come back to reoccurring. So, it's decent, mate. It certainly brings it kind of the old feel back to the original Dexter, which I think now you're watching it, when you come to watch that, you'll appreciate it.
I'd love to give you my early thoughts, but it's not the platform to do it. So
No, we'll save it for a podcast, mate. We'll save it for a podcast. I tried to watch that thing on Netflix, Unknown Number, but I fell asleep. So that tells you all you know about that. I do like things like I used to watch when I was younger, Catfish, like that TV show on MTV.
Yeah.
Just binge watch that all the time to see how like the different type of people are out there. Do you know what I mean? And I thought this was kind of quite like it, but nah, I didn't like it. I don't know if it's just the way it's filmed. You know, Netflix do these things and it films are strange and things. So I don't know. I didn't go back to it. I don't think I will go back to it. I was going to try and catch some 9/11 documentaries, but I've been that busy with work. I've really bothered my backside on that. Obviously, being 9/11 a couple of days ago, as we are recording just now. So I might go and try and catch anything new that I've not seen, whatever. Other than that, mate, it's pretty dry. I've obviously watched Full Metal Jacket for the podcast today.
We're always a bit more prolific during the school holidays, aren't we?
Aye, definitely. But that's just the nature of the beast, buddy. The nature of the beast. Right. So Full Metal Jacket is what you're here to watch and to listen to. So I'm just going to go over some of the facts, not the facts, but just the details of the films, I suppose. So it's Full Metal Jacket. It was released in 1987. It's a war/drama film. The director was Stanley Kubrick. He also wrote the film along with Michael Herr, Gustav Hashford. The runtime for the film was 1 hour and 56 minutes. It was based on, I'm sure it was a short novel or a book, I don't know, The Short Timers in 1979 by Gustav Hashford. So he was also one of the the screenwriters for the film as well. The tagline was "Vietnam can kill me, but it can't make me care." Budget for the film was 30 million, and it took in a worldwide box office of 120 million, approximately. The cast was Matthew Modine, I think that's how you say his name, is Private JT Joker Davis, R. Lee Emery as Gunnery Sergeant Hartman, which is my screen name, Vincent D'Onofrio as Private Leonard Gomer Pyle Lawrence, Adam
That's a mouthful.
Adam Baldwin as Animal Mother, Alice Howard as Private Robert Cowboy Evans, Doreen Harewood as 8-Ball, Kevin Major Howard as Rafterman, which is your screen name, and John Terry as Lieutenant Lockhart.
John Terry?
That's his name, isn't it? Do you know who he is, by the way? Did you catch
No.
who he was?
John Terry?
I'm pretty sure that's his name. Have I got that wrong?
I don't know. Who was he?
Some defender back in the day, mate.
Right.
Maybe I've written John Terry and think that was his name.
Wayne Bridge wouldn't agree.
It's actually Christian Shepherd from Lost.
Is he?
Aye. I was going to bring that up later on, mate. But
what character was he again?
Lieutenant Lockwood.
Lieutenant Lockwood. I can't really remember him, to be honest.
I'm out myself here now, mate.
Oh, is he the guy who was leading the meetings in Vietnam?
He's like in the Stars and Stripes, the kind of the journalist kind of crew. Aye,
he was like the boss there.
Aye, he's the boss.
Okay.
So
it's crazy. I totally didn't clock who Pyle was played by. Like,
Did you not?
He didn't look familiar when I was watching it, but as soon as I looked up something on Wikipedia, or whatever, the cast, when I saw who it was, I was like, oh my God, I couldn't believe that was him. Like, I can see it now, but it wasn't like immediately obvious. He was obviously a lot younger.
I know. Obviously, he's the guy in Men in Black as well, who the alien takes over.
I've watched the first season of Daredevil, which was really good, actually. I kind of wish I'd stuck with it, but season one was
it's
really
phenomenal
good.
TV, mate. It's brilliant.
I watched season one, then I just kind of fell out of it.
It's a strange one because it is a good. It was on Netflix, obviously.
It's all about timing, as you were saying earlier. There's things that if you watch them at a different time of your life or even a different day of the week, like just your mindset, I think, plays a big part in what you watch and what you enjoy.
Aye, 100%, mate. Awards and nominations, buddy. So it was nominated for Best Adapted Screenplay for the Academy Award. That is, it was nominated for the Golden Globe Award, Best Supporting Actor, R. Lee Emery, and it was also nominated for a BAFTA Award for the Best Sound. Other recognitions that existed, so it's widely acclaimed that R. Lee Emery's performance, is largely improvised. I think if you've got any trivia on that, mate, because I did a wee bit of digging myself, a lot of that is improvised because he wasn't the initial person for that role.
Happens quite a lot, doesn't it?
Aye, because he was like a technical advisor, so he was. And then basically he was a drill sergeant, and then he gave him a audition. I think he was just too soft, and then he sent Kubrick a tape of him just basically doing what he does in the film, and he's like, yes, hire him. Do you know what I mean? So he was.
Couple of examples. Sorry, you go.
He was my favourite character by far. He was really good.
Because just to get in I've not done it well, the obligatory Star Wars reference, Harrison Ford was just like a kind of friend of George Lucas, and he was brought in to read lines, and then the rest is history. And Roy Kent from Ted Lasso, he wrote the show, but he wasn't originally meant to be Roy Kent.
Was he not?
No, until I think someone just went like, basically, why are you not doing it? You'd be perfect for it. He wasn't going to do it originally.
Fair dues. It's funny how these things happen sometimes, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Did you get any trivia for the film, mate?
Yeah, just before we kind of come on, you already mentioned obviously it was adapted, so it wasn't adapted from like a non-fiction novel. It was more like a
Historical fiction.
kind of memoir, kind of
Oh, right.
someone's real experiences. It was taken from. So just got a couple of things here if I can find them. So you've already mentioned about Lee Ermey, who wasn't originally meant to be in it. I did have a couple more bits here. So the Vietnam scenes were actually filmed in abandoned gasworks in East London, and it says they actually brought in palm trees to make it look more tropical. So that was one. There was also there wasn't too much I found, but they also mentioned that Kubrick and his wife and Lee Ermey were in a car accident. The car went into a ditch during a location scout while Kubrick was still talking about the scene. So he was obviously very invested in his job so much that they caused an accident.
All right. Nice.
So that was just a couple of things. I didn't
No,
have
I've got
too much time to find a bit more.
You're talking about there how you didn't recognise Vincent D'Onofrio. So it says that he gained over 70 pounds for the role of Kyle. And it was a record weight gain for the film role at that time.
Did he just keep it for Kingpin then as well?
Oh, I think Wilson Fisk was a lot. Well, maybe he obviously did a lot more weight gain for that. But maybe that's just how he looks now. As time progresses, sometimes
yeah, like retrospectively, I can work out that it's him, but he looks. I wasn't looking for him. Do you know what I mean?
I know,
and I hadn't seen the cast list before I watched it, so.
We said the opposite of the film then. So a pragmatic US Marine observes the I can't speak. Jeez, a pragmatic US Marine observed the humanizing effects of the Vietnam War and his fellow recruits from the brutal boot camp training to the bloody streets fighting in Vietnam. So the film itself, mate, look into it now. So the film itself is broken into two parts, right? So we get the initial. The kind of part one is the Marine boot camp. It's on Paris Island, and the first kind of scene we see is the Marines getting their head shaved. So, and we get the music of the kind of "Hello Vietnam" in the background. So, I mean, as war, I'll hold my hands up. I'm not the biggest war war film fan at all. Do you know what I mean?
I thought you were going to say I'm not the biggest war fan.
So I mean, I've seen I was a good few. I wanted to change the genre this week so that we did do something different because it's good to keep a bit different in that regard. But as films go like this go, I mean, I reckon it's kind of always kind of the same, isn't it? Because as you're going to be in the Marine, you're going to be in the Army, the Navy, whatever. I reckon this is whole kind of the boot camp. This is people's kind of views on what boot camp is like. They go into this kind of rehab kind of thing where you go in and you basically whoever you were, you're not anymore, and this is what the rules and things you're going to got to abide by. What was your take on that then, buddy?
Well, it's true what you say. Like people I've went to school with have went to the army, and when they come back to where I live, they are pretty unrecognizable. Sometimes physically, but definitely in terms of their personality as well. So it is a real thing.
Aye,
it's a good way to enter the film, I suppose, because it's immediately as you say, it's them transitioning from who they were to who they become, and obviously you see a lot of that throughout the first half of the film with one particular character, and you see that with another character towards the end of the film as well. So I think it is good foreshadowing in that sense.
Aye. 100%, buddy. I've got a mate as well who was in the army too. Again, coming, like, he came back to visit and things like that. You can see kind of like small changes in like appearance and things like that. Do you know what I mean? And obviously, like when you get to Marines, army, kind of any kind of thing like this, kind of discipline, it's obviously going to instill kind of good kind of, I would say, good discipline and age. You know what I mean? That this is why you go to these things, because I think some people think it can be a jolly up, and some people go into it for the wrong reasons as well, mate. Don't get me wrong. Do you know what I mean? But I think it's a good way of kind of instilling kind of behaviours and disciplines like that. I had the chat. Nothing like this, mate. But see, I was in 6th year. I had a scholarship to go to the Navy, to be like a software engineer, and I obviously didn't take it. But I often wonder, like, obviously it's a completely different kind of thing here, where you go into the army to be like a guy with a gun, or you go into the Navy with a guy with a computer. Do you know what I mean? But I reckon, even though they're two different things, the rules, the disciplines, and the behaviours are all, I imagine, they will be quite similar. Do you know what I mean? So I often think about that, mate. What would it be like if I did do that?
Yeah, I definitely wouldn't have been for me. Like, I've got a lot of respect for people that do it, but definitely wouldn't have been for me. But I think it's a good thing where, you know yourself, the job we're in, there's a lot of, if people are getting in bother in their community or just lacking a bit of direction in life, I think even if they don't stick at it, I think the lessons and the routines gained would definitely be beneficial.
No, definitely. So kind of talking about routines then. So we kind of get to the arrival of Sergeant Hartman. Now, this is the guy who is played by Lee, who was a real-life drill instructor for the Marines. This is a sequence that goes on for quite a long time. And just to picture the scene where they're all in their barracks, they're by their beds and they're standing straight upright, and you've got the drill sergeant walking, pacing up and down, and basically kind of he just strips them, every single one of them pretty much. Main characters, obviously, there's others in there that we don't really kind of get to know, but the main characters, he tears them. And I mean, as a viewer, watching this film, there's a lot of things he says in this film, and especially for a family podcast, I would say we can't really go into the details of what he does say, but as a person watching this film, what he was saying was funny, right? And I imagine that, well, being in that position can be quite terrifying. Do you know what I mean? You've got this guy screaming at you, and in some cases hitting you for no following the simplest of orders. What was your take on him, mate? Did you like him? Do you think you were meant to like him? Did you feel sorry for anybody in there? Or I'll come back to the next question in a minute, right? So what was your takes on him?
There's quite a lot to unpack there. So I didn't know, watching it, that he actually did that for like his real job, and that he wasn't technically an actor. So I get what you mean. Like, I'll emphasize, some of his lines were funny, but I don't
Bullshit! I can't hear you.
There were aspects, I don't know about you, there was aspects of this film, I think because of the time period it was set in and the different social dynamics, there was some stuff that was quite hard to hear.
Yes.
Particularly when he was, like some of the racist comments he made, for example, they were quite difficult to listen to. In terms of, do I feel sorry for people? Well, in a lot of ways, particularly at that time, people would probably have known what they'd signed up to. Whether Hardman was a bit beyond that could be the case. Obviously, I forget his original name, but Pyle is obviously the character you do feel sorry for, because it's just bullying, and there probably wasn't anything there for him to like report that or to get support. And like there will be loads of examples of people who experience similar things, if not with slightly different outcomes. It's a difficult one. Did I like him? As you said, you do find some of the things he said funny. I wouldn't say I liked it. I think I found maybe this is how it was supposed to feel. I found a lot. You felt quite uncomfortable with a lot of the things he was saying and doing, but that was probably Kubrick's intention. There was something interesting I found though, and I don't know if you agree with this or not. He seemed, despite how he was behaving, he seemed genuinely delighted when Pyle started to improve, which was obviously just before something major happens. But I felt like he genuinely did, despite the way he went about it, he did like the fact that Pyle was starting to come good. And there was moments in between the jibes where he was a wee bit encouraging. And if Pyle had been able to do the things he was asking him to do, like in another world, they could have ended up having a good relationship despite it all if it wasn't for what happened. I don't know if you agree or disagree with that. But
Also, obviously that kind of relationship kind of happens later on in the film. Do you know what I mean? But initially, when we get to speak to him, the kind of choke scene was a bit bizarre, wasn't it? As well, like choke yourself and all that sort of thing. Do you think he was picked on because he was bigger than the rest?
I think when he first spoke to him, he had this kind of look on his face, didn't he? That he was always kind of half laughing, half smirking.
I was smirking.
I think he kind of sees, because the opposite happened with Joker, because he was like wisecracking, and he probably thought, right, this guy's got a bit about him, we can probably use this guy. Whereas I think he was maybe getting a wee bit of a lack of respect from Pyle from his perspective, because he couldn't keep a straight face.
Well, you think about if this happens quite a lot, I imagine, with you as well. Like, you know, when you're having to like assert like authority and you get smirks and things like that. Do you know what I mean? Like, why are you smirking? Do you know what I mean? I'm saying he isn't funny, and that's a line that I say quite often. Do you know what I mean? Like, and I can see point of view from Sergeant Hartman. Do you know what I mean? Like, I can see that. But his name is Leonard Lawrence. I know you couldn't remember his new name, but he obviously he has a jibe at his name. Like, talks about, you know, the type of people who are Lawrences and stuff like that, and you know I mean, it's aye. But still at this scene, mate, because like as he's going through, we get Private Snowball, we get Private, what's his name? What's his name?
Who was the guy who was just he was just so keen all the time, and he got replaced as like the head of the unit at one point, and he was just like, "Yes, sir, sir."
Snowball.
Snowball, yeah.
Aye, Snowball.
He was quite funny.
I think his name is it's like Brown. I think Sergeant, like Private Brown, but he changed him to Snowball. But interestingly enough, we meet Joker. Because it is from his point of view. This whole film is from his point of view. And he's, as you know, Hartman's going around kind of interrogating him. You get the quote that I said at the start of this podcast about John Wayne. You know, is that you, John Wayne? Is it me? And he comes over to him. Who was that? Who said that? Blah blah. Oh, you're a comedian, Private Joker.
What's that a reference to, that line? Is that
right? So I'm thinking like that. So my dad watched John Wayne films all the time. Like John Wayne was like He was like a cowboy and all that, but he
Yeah,
did a lot
I
of
know the name. I just didn't know if it was a specific reference to like, a
he did,
specific film.
he's a cowboy, but he played a lot of kind of war kind of heroes as well in films. And I think my opinion here is that it was kind of representation of the kind of the American hero. Like, you know, my dad used to always quote John Wayne all the time. It was like unbelievable, and I'm like, but I think that it was kind of representing John Wayne being the American hero for what he stood for. Like, he was painted as this kind of like Arnold Schwarzenegger type of person. Do you know what I mean? That you go into a battle and came out the victor type of thing. So it references John Wayne a few times in the film, actually. So aye, that's my take on it. Anyway, but aye, it's from there that we get the Joker tag. So it was some good quotes in there. Again,
Batman reference for you. Just to be Batman reference for you. Joker.
Oh right, sorry. Aye. I mean, if the Joker could have said to him, "Why so serious?" But before it's time. Right, so that's the kind of the introductions done. You get a kind of a load of training montages. Like, we could go into, we could be here until tomorrow, doing them all, mate. But we get a lot of training montages. We get the usual left, right, that sort of stuff, and all the kind of the music and numbers that come with him, like kind of singing and them running, all the rest of it. They do push-ups and obstacle courses, and all between them, he's just firing insults to them all. If anything comes up here, mate, that you want to kind of touch on, but you can tell me. But there's one thing for me, obviously the obstacle course, you have to jump up on top of it and then vault yourself over.
Mm-hmm.
Quite clear to me and clear to the audience that, Pyle's struggling with that. He can't get himself over and above it, and then in time, and he gets the verbal abuse like constantly. I mean, I was going to ask you, mate, have you ever met anybody in your life that is similar to this drill sergeant?
Not to that extent, no.
No, well, not to that extent for me either, man. But my old PE teacher, when I had him for standard grade PE, right, he was in the army. He was in the army as well. I would be like punching walls and stuff like that. So he would, like, no joking, man. And like, he would have you running around the tracks full period, like, and just like, hurry up, like, move, and all that sort of stuff. It was obviously kind of get you used to the way he did. Do you know what I mean? But it was when I watched it again, I was like, it just reminds me of my old PE teacher, like, just the way that he's just trying to, like, obviously encourage you to everything, but he was like, you're not moving fast enough, hurry up, move, catch him, and all that sort of stuff. Do you know what I mean? Or if you're playing basketball, or you're not hitting a shuttlecock in badminton further, like, that's too weak. So, aye. So for that point of view, I kind of reminded me of him. But that being said, mate, like, I fully, like, respected him. Like, you wouldn't cross the line with him at all, man. Do you know what I mean? You just knew what would happen. And still to this day, I think that he was the reason why, the whole class, I think, all get wins in PE. Do you know what I mean? Like, the equivalent of an A today. Just pure hard work and determination, and that kind of made us, because we were an all boys PE class as well at the same time, man. That made it worse. Do you know what I mean? Like, it was competitive, and then you meet into the changing rooms, it would be absolute slagging, and you didn't want to be one getting slagged. So in a way, it kind of reminded me of that. Do you know what I mean? Like, that's what it'd be like. But anyway, I just thought I would ask that question.
The bit where he's struggling to get over it's just that symbolism as well, isn't it? Just of his struggles mentally as well.
Aye.
And that he obviously needs to overcome that.
Aye. And it's not easy, mate. Do you know what I mean? Like, people are just different, and he's struggling. He's struggling to adapt. He's struggling to keep up with the training. He's struggling to keep a lid on his kind of mental capacity at that point in time. And he just feels kind of vulnerable, I think.
It'd have been good to know a wee bit. I know it's not really the point of this film, but see knowing a wee bit more about the main characters' backstories, like why Pyle went there in the first place. Was it his choice? Was it a family? Was it a parent encouraging him to do it? And like just knowing a wee bit more about their backgrounds, I think maybe would have helped a wee bit in terms of understanding their motivations.
Aye.
But didn't necessarily need that though.
Nah, but it's up to us, isn't it, to kind of wonder what happened prior. But obviously we see Pyle struggling because we kind of get the scene where, again, they have to stand on top of the footlocker and they have their hands out and things, and then the sergeant sees the footlocker of Pyle's opened, and he hates opened footlockers, and he opens it up and he sees a jelly donut, and essentially, you know, he's told to eat it, and anything that he does wrong, because by now there's quite a few accounts of him doing stuff wrong, the rest of them will be punished for it, and you can see them doing. I think in one montage, there's the first montage they're doing press ups. 1, 2, 3, 4. I love the Marine Corps, and then you get the other one outside where he's sucking his thumb. Pyle's sucking his thumb on top of something, and they're all doing what is it doing? Burpees, I think it is. And you get the one where they're running, and he's walking with his pants down, and he's got the gun over his shoulder. So by this point in time, they're getting frustrated with him because everything he does wrong it's happening quite a lot now, and they feel the need to have an intervention with him, and they punish him. So at night time they sneak up on Pyle and then put him down and basically wrap soap up in towels and just batter him quite violently. And you can see at this point in time we've got obviously Joker kind of know want to do it, but again he wants to fit in with the rest of them. But he's having that hard time of what's right and what's wrong, because he is trying to guide Pyle along, and he's trying to make sure he's on the straight and narrow. But at the same time, he's got to look out for himself as well. What was your take on that, mate? The kind of nighttime punishment of the soap?
Well, at first I didn't actually catch what was in the bag, so I had to actually look it up that it was soap. But obviously,
interestingly enough, mate, sorry to cut you off. Interestingly enough, mate, the soap was sold to the Marine Corps by Tyler Durden.
I get that reference. Where was I? You threw me off.
Sorry, you're talking about I
didn't actually clock that it was soap the first time. Obviously, that's my first time watching. But you obviously see similar things, don't you, with other movies with like snooker balls inside. So I knew it was obviously something solid. It makes me wonder what would be sorter, that snooker balls or sometimes rocks. You get in as well, don't you?
Aye, rocks in a sock.
Soap doesn't sound like it'd be as bad as like billiard balls,
but I think they didn't have snooker balls. Do you know what I mean? At that point in time, so soap is the best of the thing they could have to use.
You feel so bad for him though. Like you can see he's in absolute agony, but he's also trying not to outwardly cry too much about it. I thought the way the scene was filmed with the foreboding music and the fact the lights were out, it's probably like the second most kind of not memorable in like you want to remember it sense, but it's definitely one of the scenes that stand out more in the movie for me.
Well, the music and the kind of score behind that actually is quite similar to the one when he went to soon in the very end as well, which kind of tells you the kind of what happens in those scenes, like in terms of the person that happens to, and then you get the decision people have got to make as well, because what's his name, Joker wants to make that, he has to make a decision, and it's obviously it's a moral thing as well. Do you know what I mean? Like you've got a pal there who you don't really want to hurt, but then again something's got to give here. What would you do in a situation like that, mate? I think I know the answer to it anyway, but you can.
I don't think I would hit somebody with soap somehow.
No, but I mean, but obviously it's hypothetical. Do you know what I mean? And we don't really know the answer. I don't know the answer either. I'm like,
Do you mean just in a scenario where everyone's doing something? And
yes, like you're put in a scenario where everybody's doing something and you don't know the consequences. So what could happen? What could happen then if, for example, that Choker didn't do it? Would he then be next because he didn't, get in line to do it? Do you know what I mean?
there's a good chance of that. I think it all boils down to age and maturity. Like if I was younger, not something to that extreme, but maybe you would have done something like a lot minor that other people were doing. Like for example, I was quite late by standards in terms of like when I had my first drink of alcohol. I never felt a lot of peer pressure with that regards. I didn't come from a family that did a lot of that, but I also think the age I'm at now and the age you're at now, you're a lot less likely to be in a position like that where you're getting peer pressured. But I also think what is it like? Is it males don't fully mature till like, was it 25, 26? I think the age I'm at now, you'd be a lot less likely to just follow the crowd. But when you're younger, depending on the circumstances, then maybe that would happen.
Of course. Because at the same time, you kind of want to make sure yourself are protected as well for what could come your way. Do you know what I mean? So, just a wee question for you, buddy. So, we do feel bad for him, but at the same time, obviously, it had to happen for the plot to move on. You mentioned earlier on, mate, Pyle seems to have improved. He has got better. He's excelling in his drills. He knows his left and his rights. He seems to have a real good kind of knack at using a rifle. This is my rifle. And you can see the encouragement from Hartman, can't you, as well? But again, he's not giving him too much. He's not giving him too much encouragement, but at the same time, he's just making sure that he can do the job properly. But all this happening, we can see a wee bit of a kind of shift in him as well, because as the camera pans to him at times, you can see that he doesn't seem himself. He kind of has a weird kind of look in his face, like a kind of smile. You can almost see there's some kind of psychotic thing going to snap with him.
A manic grin.
Yes, that's a good way of putting it. A manic grin. And I think we can see that, as he's he whispers to the rifle, doesn't he, as well? That sort of thing. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's that the rifle's his only friend now. And because he can't trust anybody else because of what happened prior to that. And he knows he's getting good at the rifle, and that's something he can use for his advantage. I did think, like, the manic grin, as you called it, mate, it was quite, like, I was taken aback by that again. Do you know what I mean? It was quite eerie.
Yeah. It was quite a sharp change as well. I was kind of disappointed. I wish Pyle had went to Vietnam. Like, I understand that scene doesn't play out and be as iconic as it is without that, but part of me, I'm not sure about you, I kind of wish he'd went to Vietnam and that story had continued a bit more. I understand why it didn't, but I kind of wish that.
It'd be interesting to see how he would have coped there. But granted, his mental state, I don't think would have helped him.
I think less is more, though. I think he wouldn't be as memorable a character if he hadn't went out the way he did.
Aye, but at the same time, that's what played out, though. Do you know what I mean? So potentially, you could think that, well, if he went to Vietnam being this way, that he could either be a liability, or he could be somebody who would be good as to use his weapon, and it'd be an advantage to the Corps. But
I think the word you're looking for was asset. You need to use your accounting terms.
I I'm not accounting, mate. I'm a programmer.
I'm not an accountant either, but
You watch too many Suits or something like that. Anyway, so later on, we get the first kind of scene where we get this duality of man phrase, where we get the Joker, who he's kind of wants peace and kind of harmony, but then has got the "Born to Kill" slogan as well. And we get the kind of, I think, is he in the office with Hartman at this point? I can't remember now, but basically, the drill sergeant is just kind of, he always dismisses it, bullshit, all the rest of that sort of stuff. Either one or the other. You can't be two of them. So kind of at this point in time, this is the first part we get where the duality of man, where he wants to be good, but he wants to be bad at the same time. He's kind of fighting his inner self for that. And I think it's here as well where I could be wrong, where he talks about being a robot and a killer, and then like what's the difference between them both, which is an interesting question. What is your take on the duality of man? Because we see this in a lot of films. Want to be good, but then there's a kind of darker side to the person. Do you think at this point in time that Joker was a good guy?
First of all, I really like the phrase. It sounds cool. I'm a bit mixed on him because I watched the majority of the film up to the last 20 minutes earlier in the week, and then I just decided to rewatch the whole thing, including the end. Last night I watched things a bit weird, but he's a weird mix. Like he's quite a caring guy in a lot of ways. Like he cares about his friends. He's quite righteous in that he wants to do right, but he's also just, as his name suggests, a total wind-up merchant. And just some of the ways he talks to his friends and just some of the things he comes out with are a wee bit out there. I think on the whole, he's one of the better characters ethically in the movie. He's not perfect. The whole bit about the killer is him. It's just his kind of ego, and he wants to stand out, doesn't he? He wants to stand out from everyone else, and having that plastered across his helmet, having the peace symbol, whether or not he actually believes these things, I felt like they were more for show and to make him stand out.
Aye. I agree. So I mean, it's a cool phrase. We have seen it. We see these, like in Shutter Island, for example. We get the duality of man.
Right.
We get loads of these kind of things. Do you know what I mean? And it's interesting. I think I agree with you that he is a good man, and we kind of see that as well because when we get to where they get kind of assigned to different kind of platoons in the Vietnam, we find out where he goes, and that was his decision.
Did they choose their roles, or did their roles get chosen for them, or was it a bit of a mix?
It's a bit of a mix, I think. I'm pretty sure. I could be wrong here. That they pick where they want to go, and if they get the skills, the qualities for that role, they get to go there. The reason why I think that is because, well, Pyle wanted to be a gunner. I think it was in the what did they say it was? I can't remember now. And Hartman was surprised at that, going, "Oh, you made it, well done! Like I think you would make it," type thing, because that was how he was good with a gun. So he showed those skills that he was able to do that. But before I get to that point, we get the drill rifle, the rifle. This is my rifle. What is it? This is my rifle. There are many like it, but this one is mine. Kind of chant, and they do it in the bunk.
Mm-hmm.
Which is quite like all in harmony, like singing that. Do you know what I mean? It's quite
I always find it funny. Like obviously the people in the military, they have like these routines and the reputation, but when they're singing their songs, I think the songs always are like quite funny and quite humorous, and it's a bit of a contrast between that and the way they behave otherwise.
No, it's like the training montages when they're running and they're doing the melodies. They are funny. Do you know what I mean? Like it's I almost want to run with them. You know what I mean? It's like I want to run to that song. You know what I mean? That's what I feel like.
My first memory of those kind of songs actually comes from The Simpsons. It was the episode when Nelson is like, you know, when Bart becomes Bart the General, and they're like pelting Nelson with water balloons, and they're singing all the songs.
I don't know, but I've been told. It's like
that's my earliest memory of those kind of chants.
But it's like even the chanting, like what I talked about here, that it's kind of a brainwashing process. You know, this is my rifle. They like it. This one is mine. Blah blah. I keep on repeating it, and kind of reaffirms the kind of the pal. The rifle became Pel's pal, which we'll come on to now because it's the sequence. It's the last scene from the part 1, and we've got Pyle sitting himself in the lavvy in the toilet, and he's loading live ammunition. And then we get this is where when Joker finds him in there. This is where the scene goes dark. The toilet was a great location for it. There's kind of moonlight kind of shining through, but it's dark, and he's asking if the live rounds type thing, what's happening type thing, and he's the look on his face as well. Like it's just he's gone. He can't be brought back now. He's gone, and
horror movie like.
Aye, exactly. Quite scary. The music in behind it as well doesn't, similar to what you were talking about in this the soap scene. But he said the thing, didn't he? He said Full Metal Jacket, which is the type of bullet he was putting into
the name of the movie.
Yep. He said the thing. And then you can see Joker trying to reason with him, do you know what I mean? He's just trying to calm him down and obviously being scared at the same time. He's like, we're going to be in a world of shit here if you if he finds us in here. He says to him, I'm already in a world of shit. Which is his mindset.
His acting in that scene's amazing.
Aye, and that's his mindset. And the bit that I did find funny this scene was the the drill sergeant. Hartman came in with his boxers on and a jumper and a hat on. I mean, it's just again that's just showing he's in charge. I mean, he's got his hat in, like he's daft hat, and he's like that. But even though he knows the full rounds in the gun, he's still giving him a barrel of abuse, isn't he? He's not caring. He doesn't believe he would do it. He was shooting down there. But one of my favourite lines from the quote is from the film is, what is your major malfunction, numbnuts?
That's the one you sent. Thing is, you always send these quotes into the group chat before I've even watched that bit of the film, so I'm like, okay. But when it comes up, I'm like, okay, I get it. You did it for another. You did it for something. You did it for, I think, Fight Club as well.
I'd probably do it for anything you've seen, mate. Because you go, I've seen that. I go, what is your major malfunction?
I think that is my major malfunction that I haven't seen it.
But basically, what happens is that Hartman goes on a rant about he's what's wrong, like your mum and dad don't love you enough, and before he can finish his set, he's slagging to him. He shoots him through the chest with a gun, which is a shocking scene, man. We've got Joker just kind of sitting there, or standing there. Sorry, he's observing all this happening, and that's traumatic for him because that's the first kill he's seen, and it was in his own camp. So that's traumatic. That's trauma he's got to live with because he's getting into Vietnam to be a journalist. Because he wrote a few high school news pieces or something like that. He says he obviously was joking at the time, and obviously that was to the Sergeant Hartman's kind of dismay because he knows how good he is, but yet he chose to be in a to get be away from the danger type thing. Anyway, mate.
What was the quote? You're not a writer, you're a killer. Is that the line?
Aye, you're a born killer.
Mm.
What was your take on that then, mate? The whole scene, the kind of scene at the end, then, buddy, because obviously it was dark. It was as a first time viewer watching this film, mate. What did you think?
Yeah, it's. I'm gonna guess it's the most iconic scene of the film, just in terms of like how the film's remembered.
Aye. Well, certainly because watch this again. I didn't ask for the history of the film, mate. Probably because obviously you'd seen it before I knew that. But I seen this like ages ago, and when watching it again, obviously there's quotes in the film that I know because of how popular they are, and they've obviously said them today. But that scene I remember more than the one at the end, and that tells you everything you need to know about it. Do you know what I mean?
It is a bit of a film of two halves.
Aye.
But yeah, the scene, as you said, the way it's lit with the kind of moonlight coming in and the darkness. It was the music as well, and the acting, and the look in his face. It was it's interesting because it came just after he was starting to get it all together, and it looked like he was. So it was quite a shock when it happened because it looked like he was starting to progress. But obviously, what happened before was too much for him.
Aye.
And I didn't realize that he was going to take his own life as well. I thought that maybe we would see like a trial, or we'd see him going to jail or anything like that. Because there was another good kind of military film that I think we should review at some point. I think it was called A Few Good Men.
Ah, it's good. Tom Cruise and
yeah, that's all about like a kind of like a trial and things like that. So that'd be a good one to do. At
you
some
can't
point.
handle the truth.
You need me on that wall. So yeah, no, it's the best scene in the film, despite obviously what happens in it. And if I look back on it myself, that's probably one of a couple that I'll remember.
Aye. Well, that's the first half of the film done, and realise we've kind of went on and on a bit, but it's important to actually do.
There's probably more to talk about in the first half than the second.
Aye. Well, see, before we go into Vietnam, because the second part is about Vietnam. See, before I go on, mate, can you give me your war face, please?
No.
Ah!
That's for paid subscribers only.
Bullshit. I can't hear you. Right, so the second half of the film is that they're in Vietnam. Filmed in England, obviously, but they're in Vietnam. The music playing These Boots Are Made for Walking, quite a jazzy intro. And we get the scene where we've got the Marines it's Joker and Rafterman is sitting. I don't know if they're having a beer or a coffee, I can't remember, but they're obviously approached by kind of workers, shall we say? I'll say workers in Vietnam, right? I'm going to be trying to be like this, and kind of the reason why I bring this scene up, mate, is because it's quite easy to gloss over it, right? But it shows in the background we've got the combat happening in Vietnam, but when we get to this point in this scene in this part of Vietnam, it's quite consumerisy. You know what I mean? There's lots of advertisements about the place. Nothing seems to be wrong. You think in a war-torn country, it would be kind of the buildings would be desolate and all that sort of thing. But really, obviously, Vietnam is big and whatever, but nothing seems to be. So it just shows you the day-to-day life in that part was kind of nothing had changed. And at the same time, because of the US Marines being there in the army, whatever, the economy of Vietnam would have been, bigger and ever. Do you know what I mean? Because they're there looking for money, they're spending the money, so it's like, well, they're here, they're at war with us, but they're spending loads of money. So
Yeah.
I found that's the reason why I bring that up, mate. Do you know what I mean? Obviously, that in this scene there are very, very famous lines, but it's just something I wanted to bring up.
I think also the introduction in the music shows a real contrast from like the first half of the film, which is probably more intense in a lot of ways,
Aye.
probably darker in a lot of ways. The Vietnam War is something I'm actually keen to learn more about myself, but obviously I know the gist of it, that the South was where the kind of Americans were based, and then the North was where like the Chinese and Russian communists were kind of taken, or not sorry, there was basically a civil war, there wasn't there, between like the North and the South in a lot of ways.
Aye, and the US lost the war. We know that as well.
Battle of ideologies. What's quite interesting actually, and if I get a chance to speak to my uncle who lives in America, he actually was in Vietnam, so it'd be really interesting to. I've never spoke to him about that specifically, but if I ever get the opportunity, it'd be interesting to hear more about it.
Definitely. Be interesting to hear that, mate. So again, we follow Joker. So Joker is he's working in Saigon, he's a journalist for the company called Stars and Stripes, which is the US kind of internal newspaper. Have you seen Good Morning Vietnam? Robin Williams?
No.
No, man. That's amazing, the film. So basically,
Right.
Robin Williams is a radio presenter, and he does radio shows all across Vietnam. So it's kind of like the same type of thing. Do you know what I mean? But better. He's better at it, obviously, because he's a comedian, he's a presenter. Anyway, so in this office, when we see Christian Shepherd, who's played by John Terry, not that one. So he basically works a newspaper. He's told to kind of make his stories more pro-war. Basically, my take here was to basically get them to make up things as well. Do you know what I mean? Like this is what they want to hear. This is what they want to see. And like his name Joker's trying to kind of that didn't happen, so I'm not writing it type thing. Do you know what I mean? So I found that interesting because he's clashing with him because it's about the propaganda. And he says the line as well, we're here to help the Vietnamese, but inside every Vietnamese person, there's an American trying to get out, which is talking about the kind of imperialistic mindsets as well, which I thought was interesting. So even like, they're just there to try and make things up. I don't know, like, see this whole kind of scene, it just shows you that even though what they're there to do, they're still there to kind of tell lies. That's the way I thought about it anyway, mate. I mean, they're not there in the battles to get the real photographs, to get the real first eyewitness accounts and stuff like that. They're just there to kind of make lies up. What was your take on that?
Shift public opinion. Well, obviously, propaganda has always been a huge, and always will be a huge part of what I've always found it weird that, like, see when you hear about like the war in Ukraine or just all this terrible stuff that's happening around the world at the moment, I always find it quite amazing, not amazing in a good sense, but like unbelievable that there's just like a BBC reporter just milling about. Do you know what I mean? Just interviewing random people, and I don't know. It just seems a bit unreal to me that is what people are paid to do. But you're right. You're just there to prolong your whatever side you're on's narrative, aren't you?
Aye, I understand that as well. And what you're saying there, I always remember watching the TV when I was younger, and it was like the Iraq War was on, and you'd be like a BBC reporter standing in the middle of Baghdad, and all you would hear is shh in the background.
I'm really curious about
Iraq. You know what I mean? Like, it's just like, what are you doing? Must be some
like
danger when you're involved in that.
I was about to say that the war correspondents get like a really good pay because of like the imminent danger they're in.
Aye, absolutely.
But I think it is interesting because he goes there as like a correspondent, but then by like the end of the film, he's just a soldier, basically, isn't he? Just
Aye.
kind of how things develop. It also reminds me a wee bit of Captain America: The First Avenger, just when they're going from bit to bit, and Cap's doing all these wee speeches at all the different locations. The Stars and Stripes just reminded me a wee bit of that because of the visual of Uncle Sam.
Yep. Exactly. This is where we kind of meet Rafterman as well. So he's just the same as Joker, a combat photographer, but he's very nervous, I would say. I mean, I think he comes across nervous, but again, he comes across quite excited, but doesn't really want to get into the real stuff. So, reason for, well, why have you got him as your screen name, buddy? Because I guess you like him.
Do you want the real reason or the podcast reason?
What else is he in?
I didn't have a lot. I didn't have a lot of time because I was running late, so I just had to choose a name. I kind of related to him because he was quite. Like, I've never been on a helicopter. I've been on an airplane, obviously. I've been on a jet plane. I want to trip on it once, but I can imagine if I was in a helicopter, I'd be a wee bit like not feeling that great. He's obviously quite. I think he's queasy because one, he's in a helicopter. Two, that people are getting like shot at and stuff like that as well. Because there's actually a bit of foreshadowing in this scene, if I'm correct. Sorry to whiz forward a wee bit to the end of the film, but is he not the one that shoots the woman at the end of the film?
Aye.
Yes, because he says on the helicopter, he says, like, how can... No, wait, it's not him. I've misremembered this. It's Joker that says, how do you shoot women and children?
Aye, that's right.
Yeah.
Aye,
So it wasn't Rafterman, but he was in the scene, and he was obviously not enjoying what was going on. So I thought it was a wee bit of foreshadowing about what he does later, because he shoots the women. But I just got the name wrong. But he was still there. He was still nervous. So why did I pick him? He was quite memorable because his name was mentioned by Joker quite a lot. He was like constantly on the verge of being sick for a decent portion of the film, and he also has a big say at the end of the film as well. So that was why I picked him.
Aye, obviously he's with Joker throughout. So, kind of want to get touched with the helicopter scene, mate, because I think this is important as well. And this is where we get the you just shoot women and children part of it, because he's in the chopper, and we get the guy who's just basically shooting all the people who are working. They're just workers. I think they're just picking rice or something like that. I don't know what they're doing. But it's just an act of coward, I think. Like, just because they're from Vietnam doesn't mean they're doing anything wrong. Do you know what I mean? Like, they're no part of the war. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Like, they're just working. They're innocent. They're just kind of civilians at the end of the day.
What were they doing that for? Were they just doing it for their own fun?
Aye.
Or were they told? I'm assuming they weren't told to just shoot random people.
His words were, "Get some, ain't war hell." Like, as if, if I don't kill them now, then they'll come back to get us, type thing. And it's like it was just like a sport to him. Do you know what I mean? It's like playing Duck Hunt in a Nintendo. Like, oh, there's a one there, going bang, bang, bang. And that's why he asked the question about, are they women and children? How can you do that? Do you know what I mean? But it was just target practice for him, really, man. I found that scene quite hard to watch because, like, there was no need for that at all. Do you know what I mean?
I'll be honest, I found quite a lot of this film quite hard to watch, if I'm honest.
Aye, but just that scene in particular, man. Do you know what I mean? Like, I understand the concept of war and conflict, but I mean, they weren't doing anything. Do you know what I mean?
I suppose Stanley Kubrick's done his job in a lot of ways by making people feel like that.
Aye.
If that's what he was aiming for,
Right, there's a few kind of scenes in here as well that we can on to. I'm just cautious of time here as well. We get...
You always sound like you're getting towards the end of a lesson here.
Right, time for a plenary. No.
Nobody else knows the clock apart from us.
I know. That's true. Until they get to the podcast and go, oh my God, it's 2 hours long. What have they been talking about? Right, so let's just kind of talk about, is Rafterman and Joker go to the platoon. Then the platoon they go to, they meet Cowboy. So Cowboy was obviously the guy who was in Paris Island with him. So they are reunited. Alongside they meet other soldiers as well. So it was good to see him back again. This time he's a sergeant, so he's quite high up, and he's think he's well respected. There's a brief moment that they're talking to each other, kind of reminiscing, blah blah, and hugging it out and all that sort of thing. But then we kind of meet the other soldiers as well. We are introduced to Animal Mother. I would say he just reminds me of Jesse Ventura with the gun he's got. Do you know what I mean?
Why is he called that again? What was the reason for that name? It's just like a nickname, mostly.
I think he's aggressive. I think he's aggressive. He did say. I'll never mind Animal Mother. I don't know, but he's loud anyway. He is aggressive. He's basically itching for violence, I'd say, because he's actually asking them if you ever seen conflict, you ever been in a battle type thing, and he's like, oh. So they two are a wee kind of ding dong, just basically, there's just a reporter. I'm doing all the hard work here type of thing. We introduced to 8 Ball as well. He's kind of more laid back. We've got Doc J, the medic. He's the one that's kind of saving lives and all that, obviously being a medic. And we obviously get Snowball as well. And obviously spoke at Rafterman. So they're all part of the platoon. A lot of this, I know we've said the kind of the humour in the film is kind of bad taste because the type of the year it was. Obviously, it's changed days. It's now 2025. There's things you can't say. Maybe it was more kind of it rolled off the tongue back in those days. But even then, we've got the nature of the people because they're all kind of like-minded. I'd say. Do you know what I mean? You wouldn't be in that position if you weren't. Maybe obviously Joker being the exception to that rule because they are obviously they're crude, they're racist, misogynistic, and all that sort of thing. Do you know what I mean? And
even Joker makes quite a few comments as well. That's one of his lesser qualities.
There's a more human element to him, though. Do you know what I mean? There's a more human element to him, and I think the humour in it, even though it's kind of off taste now, it's maybe a coping mechanism for them. Do you know what I mean? Like how many people in the world use humour as a coping mechanism? Do you know what I mean? Like obviously this is to an extreme, but to the most kind of point that I'm getting to now is they ask him to take a picture of one of the guys and a dead Vietnamese person. It's kind of shows you kind of again just how sick they can be. Do you know what I mean? Like, but again, this I don't know if that was something they did back then. Was that what they wanted to do? Did it happen? I don't know. But they're in the mix anyway. They're in the platoon now. They're in to see real battles happening, and it's not actually very far away till they get to the real battle because Tet being a Vietnamese holiday, there was a ceasefire, and it was actually an ambush because obviously the ceasefire was in place, allowed the Vietnamese to attack different US bases, and so the war was back up, and now they're into it. Real Vietnam is now here, and it cannot. I don't know about yourself, mate. I found the second half a bit slower in this, and I don't know because the end of what happened in the first part of the film. Kind of going, oh, what else can you better? But it was more of a kind of, I don't know, more kind of story establishing with different characters. I thought. What was your take on that, man?
I feel like I did lose. So I thought the first half, well, it was a bit of an odd choice, despite how good some of those scenes were, to have like probably about half the runtime being the training montages, because you would think normally that'd be maybe like half an hour maximum. And I think the second half of the film did suffer as a result. I must admit, I found my interest waning a bit. like
Mhm.
from like the hour mark onwards, but I felt the last 15, 20 minutes were stronger. It was that kind of bit in the middle. There's probably about a half-hour section where they were just kind of meandering to different parts, but there wasn't a lot of urgency. Like the other war film that we've reviewed back in the day was obviously Saving Private Ryan, and that film was excellent. And I thought, and it was a lot more about the actual war itself. So I don't really think that's what the film was about, but I do think the mid part of the film, I just didn't think there was a lot of urgency and it wasn't really that engaging.
Aye, because I think when the attack happened, they were under the illusion that, well, the war's finishing really, because like the ceasefire, that kind of thinks maybe that something's going to end. But when you get the attacks and all the bases and whatever, then it's like, well, okay, it's far from over. And the base is obviously penetrated and it's all in chaos and stuff like that. So you can see them kind of moving through, and I think there's an attack. There's one in the tank as well. We get the medic helping the guy who was I think he was shot. I think it was a bomb. He was shot as well. You can see the medic. We can just see it all happening in front of us. They're kind of marching through the streets and things like that. Again, we get the kind of mocking. It's the banter like they're having. They're kind of, it's a bravado, all that sort of thing. Do you know what I mean? And we get the soldiers singing "Suffing Bird," bird, 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 bird is the word.
What was that? Is that an older song then?
Aye,
Yeah.
where they are. Just because you've heard the Family Guy, mate, doesn't mean that it's where they are. Suffing Bird.
I was never a Family Guy guy. I was more
Well,
Simpsons.
you know like it.
Some of my friends watched it, but I never really got into it, to be honest. I was always more just kind of Simpsons loyal.
It's 1963, mate. It was I knew it was earlier than that. It was earlier than
I kind of
that.
felt like it was a more like 2000s kind of or 1990s kind of thing. But it depends when you hear it. Like if I heard it in the 90s, I would just think it was the 90s in a lot of ways, you know.
Aye, because they're playing that song and they're all kind of lying down at the bit, and then you've got the cameraman. I think it might have been Joker. I can't remember. I can't remember who it was now. They're kind of like saying who they are in the film type thing. Do you know what I mean? It's all a joke. Again, kind of side, kind of like seriousness versus sarcasm and all that sort of thing. Do you know what I mean? Like it's a coping mechanism. We kind of get to the bit now, kind of near the end of the film, right? So we'll get a lot of skirmishes in the city. We'll get them going through kind of buildings. There's them, and there's the buildings, and there'll be people coming through the buildings. There's a skirmish that happens. A lot of bullets getting fired, blah blah blah. But as they seem to think it's okay to move through, we get a sniper who's just basically picking them all off one by one. So we've got Doc J, who's killed pretty much. And we've got Doc J, who tries to go and help him. And at this point in time as well, we've got Animal Mother, who's basically kind of going against the instructions, the orders. And he here wants to go in and help. He's not happy that we need to move out. They're waiting for a tank to come in. There's nothing coming. There's no tank coming. They're there themselves, and they don't know how many snipers there are, and they feel kind of vulnerable at that point in time. So you've got the Animal Mother who's going in to try and save the Marine. He basically watched them die because he's taking cover, but the moment he goes to move, he's just shooting the sniper's just shooting the person, and the soldier's on the ground, and he's getting away to moving out. So he's having to try and get to where the sniper is. Now, that whole scene, I think they're getting picked off one by one, and to see it, like being in a position where you don't know who's shooting at you or how far away they are, that's quite scary, isn't it, man?
No, you wouldn't be rushing out into the open in that scenario. Like, I've used to play Call of Duty back in the day, and I dabbled in a wee bit of Laser Quest. I was never good at either of those two things. I think it's because I was always quite tall and lanky, easy target. You wouldn't just march out into the middle of that open space. Like, they were just sitting ducks, weren't they?
Aye.
And the thing
No.
was, even when people continued to get hit, they continued to push forward. That scene was a mixture of horrific in the sense as you're seeing all these people get these terrible injuries, but it was also quite more of a heartwarming scene in the sense of that it showed a bit more of like the camaraderie between the members, and that they were willing to put themselves in the line to help their friends. So it was a wee bit of a mixed bag.
Like, it's like, I think Hartman says at the start of the film, do you know what I mean? Like, it's like the end of the film, the end of that first act is like, brings your brothers, do you know what I mean? There's got a brotherhood there and things, and you don't leave people behind and all that sort of thing. So that's instilled, but at the same time, if your life's in danger and you've got to take the risk assessment on it, like, you go and to try and save that person, you're going to be next. We've seen that happen. Animal Mother wanted to obviously help as well, but he couldn't. But he did just get closer to them all, and then he paved the way for them all to kind of come forward to the buildings. And this is where we get the cowboy's death, which surprised me. But the way he died as well, mate, obviously through a sniper, because she used we'll give it away now. The sniper was a young lady, a young Vietnamese girl, I think, actually. Basically using the windows and the mirrors to shoot Cowboy.
Yeah. That plus the other bit had a bit more heart to it, didn't it? Because he obviously had the good relationship with Joker as well.
Aye. Just like he was the one who went through boot camp with him, do you know what I mean? And it was a pal. He wasn't just like the other guys who are just random people. They done so much in that. When you're at boot camp and you're there for so many weeks or so many months, you build a relationship. You build almost like a family type thing, and he just dies pretty much helplessly.
It does say a lot about Joker though, because that happened, and obviously it was the girl that did it, but then he obviously makes the decision that he makes in the last scene as well.
Aye. So we get into the building and we can see that it's just a Vietnamese woman who is a sniper. She's herself. We get Rafterman, who's there as well. He wanted to see real combat. This is his chance here now. Nothing what he's got to do. And I'm pretty sure it is Rafterman that shoots on it.
Yeah, it is.
No.
Because he goes a bit crazy, like celebrating it as well, which was a bit weird.
Aye. So that's him kind of gaining his, like, I don't know, it's his transformation moment, isn't it? Like, he's became this journalist, combat journalist, into an actual Marine now that he's actually killed someone, and obviously he's quite happy with it. But again, I think they all kind of look at each other and go like, look what she's done. This person took out 3 of the platoon. Obviously she's got a lot of skill to do that. Do you know what I mean? I wouldn't imagine it'd be easy to fire a sniper rifle.
Was she a complete lone operator? Like, was she just there by herself? Because you don't really see anyone else.
No, at that point in time, I think before that there was a skirmish between the buildings, and there was like folk firing out the buildings, and they were firing into the buildings. So I think at that point in time, she was herself in a different place from the front 2 buildings.
She was quite a bold one then.
Aye. So, but he shoots her, but she's not dead. She's obviously she's suffering. She wants the Marines to kill her. Shoot me, she says, quite a lot of time. And Animal Mother does they want to kill shoot her. He just wants her basically to suffer. Which is obviously cruel. You know what I mean? Like, rather than just kind of put her out of misery type thing. But then it's Joker who hesitates, and he does kill her. So he was obviously kind of unsure himself as well. It's against that kind of going back to the duality of man, where he's got the peace versus he's born to kill, and he's kind of thinking to himself, like, what is the right thing to do here? Do I let her suffer, or do I just, it'd be a kind of moral, ethical thing to do is just to put her out of misery, so she's not suffering anymore.
It goes back to the decision he made when he joined in with the soap, that he, at the end of the film, made a probably a better decision than that.
Yep. And it also kind of mirrors as well the end of the first act as well, man, because the end of that was basically close range rifle shot, as was this one. And he was a witness before, and now he's became that person who done it. So it's kind of it kind of echoes that in a way.
Yeah.
How surprised were you that it was a woman?
A wee bit, because also there's a lot more women joining like the armed forces now, but back in the 80s, but I suppose it's a different country and a different culture, so the initial surprise, but I suppose it doesn't really matter too much. She was obviously good at what she did up to a point.
No, she's very skilled. I was surprised, mate, watching it. I remember for the first time, but I still think that the scene from the first act was more memorable than this one. But even then, I was like, oh, it was forgot it was a woman.
I think just apart from the workers, you called them, I don't think there's any more females in the film apart from the sniper.
Aye. Going back to that scene, by the way, the worker, it's like they get a picture taken, and then the Vietnamese guy steals the camera and throws it to the guy on the bike and runs away with it. That was funny as well, when he was doing all the karate stuff and all that sort of thing. That was a funny moment there as well. Do you know what I mean? He wasn't annoyed. Do you know what I mean? He had no beef with him. That was Joker, but so I mean, if that was anybody else, especially the guy in the helicopter, then there might have been a different scenario played out there. But he knows that the people who are in the wrong and who are not, I guess. But it kind of moves on. The final march, they're kind of moving away now, and it's they're singing the Mickey Mouse Club, and again, just through Joker's narration, he says, "I've never heard of shit. Yes, but I am alive and I'm not afraid." And it kind of ends there, and it plays the music, "Paint It Black" by the Rolling Stones, which I found interesting as well, because it's like, if you paint something black, it erases everything, like the humanization of the people. So I found that interesting as well, man.
Yeah.
But it's a good wee catchy number though, the Rolling Stones, "Paint It Black."
There's some interesting music choices in this one, I know.
Bird. But that's it, done. A wee bit longer than I wanted to, but I think it's important to touch on some of the scenes and some good kind of debates and questions in there as well, mate. I always like touching on the ethical parts of things and kind of thematic parts as well, man. So it's always quite good to have that discussion with you.
I think that's our USP.
Aye, I do like that. Sometimes some comedy by me, but not a lot here today. Anyway, man.
I have no moments.
Oh, I do, mate. You picked them well. Right, buddy. So, Sighting Stars. I don't think we got anything on the socials, mate. To be honest with you, I was obviously in a bad mood last night with the football, so I didn't go into socials to do anything.
Yeah, maybe we just need to get them on a wee bit earlier once we know what we're.
I did put it on as soon as it won, because it was up against other films, and
I've kind of dropped the ball. I get a bit burnt out with Twitter, to be honest. I used to be on those group chats, like where the various group chats were in. I used to be on them every day, and I got burnt out with that. I've just become burnt out with Twitter in general. It's just an added thing to do, but I should get back into it, because it's also part of part of the game. Seismic stars. This is a really tricky one because I used the kind of football analogy of the game of two halves. Like I thought the ending of the film was decent, and I thought the first kind of 40 minutes, 50 minutes, hour, whatever, were really good. It makes it difficult to rate, I would say. So, on the whole, because I think I did get a bit dragged down, a bit fed up, I suppose, maybe in the second half of the film, I think I'm going to give it a 5 out of 10 because the way you've been talking when we've been doing it, I thought you'd be quite similar. There was just a big chunk of the film that I just didn't really care for that much. Like the training montages and all that bit were good, and the ending was decent. But I felt in the middle. I don't think I can give it higher than that because I just personally didn't feel like I enjoyed like the kind of middle chunk that much. So
Okay.
that's my take on it anyway.
Okay. No.
So I'm interested to see what your score is because you've agreed with me in pretty much every point about things we weren't as keen on and the second half not being as strong. So it'll be interesting to see what you rate it as.
No. Because I said it was slow doesn't mean it wasn't good. And that's just because of how interesting, I suppose, how it grabs your attention as a viewer. That how fast, and I think that was all to do with how the drill sergeant trained him up. I didn't say it was good. I said it was slower. Yes.
I just inferred that you didn't enjoy the second half as much, just from what you were saying, I suppose.
I think this film is hugely quotable, and some memorable scenes without a doubt. Do you know what I mean? Some real good acting in it. But I am not going 5 out of 10, mate. I am definitely I'm going 8 out of 10. This is
respectfully disagree, but I think there's a difference between what you enjoy and what's good. Like I don't debate what he was trying to achieve. I just felt I'm just kind of going by how I felt while I was watching it. Like a lot of it didn't quite sit right with me, and I think that maybe impacted the score as well.
I also have to appreciate when the film was made and how things were back in that time. Do you know what I mean? I think it's important it's okay to actually disagree with a film and what's done in the film, but actually still appreciate the time it was made and how people were feeling at that point in time.
That was the main thing, though. It was just that kind of 30-minute spell when they got to Vietnam.
Oh, you're mute.
Strong.
Just keep yourself on mute, mate. You're talking rubbish now. I'm joking.
Just getting you back for Hunger Games.
I'm just I'm looking at your opinion, mate. I mean, you like I was low with Hunger Games, so it's these wee things. I mean, you're not going to enjoy every film, mate. At the end of the day, do you know what I mean? It's all subjective. You know what I mean? I just think that even though I'm not the biggest war film fan, I still like them. I mean, it's not that I would go and turn it on and watch it like I do with other films, like comedy or a horror film or something like that. Do you know what I mean? I go to be in a right good mood to watch it. Like Saving Private Ryan, Platoon, even Fury as well. I like that film as well. 8 out of 10, mate. Like I said, it's hugely quotable. It's memorable scenes in it. It's definitely a good film for me, mate.
Seeing Stanley Kubrick's name though has really made me want to watch The Shining for like however many times. I know we've already done it, but I think we should. I think we should look at it at some point.
So a Shining version 2 with James.
Shining Reflections.
Aye. Obviously, you did put a Stanley Kubrick film up not too long ago. It didn't win. It was One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. So
yeah.
No, sorry. It was Clockwork Orange, isn't it? You put it on?
Clockwork Orange, yeah.
Aye. Anyway, so 5 out of 10, 8 out of 10.
We're normally
Wait,
around about the same.
wait till I check
That,
MDB.
you know?
I didn't give that score actually, mate, because I usually do that at the start, didn't I? Okay, 8.2 it got, buddy. So there you go, 8.2.
Also, it also goes back to, as we said earlier, your mindset when you're watching something. Like, I've had a particularly tiring week, and I watched it. I probably watched the first half in like 2 sittings, and then like half an hour in a sitting, and then last night I watched it all together. So that's just the way I can consume things at the moment with a young child, and I think that does impact your experience as well. If I could actually just have the energy to sit down and watch it in one sitting, could have been different. It might not have been, but I think it does impact.
So Rotten Tomatoes gave it 90% of the critic score, and 94% is the audience. So again, mate, like, you don't have to agree with that. Do you know what I mean? It's just the person. Do you know what I mean? Some people don't like films, and again, how you're feeling with things, you don't have to justify it, buddy. You don't try to do it for you. But anyway. Right, okay, so that's Full Metal Jacket done. If you liked our content, then please like the video on YouTube, like it on Spotify. Please comment and help drive the algorithm to get more subscribers and all that sort of stuff. What's happening next week, buddy? Is it Black Mirror?
Just wanted to say we got a new sub the other day, so we're at 203 now. So that was an extra one there. So thank you to whoever that was. Black Mirror. This is the penultimate season 7 review. It's my last one hosting, which is Eulogy, and then we've just got USS Callister into Infinity 2 weeks after that, which will be yourself. And I'm going to have to come up with something for the week after in terms of movies, but I'll reveal that next week to give me a bit of thinking time. And then once Black Mirror is done, we'll need to decide, are we going back to movie a week, or are we going to do like what we did for Black Mirror for a different show? And if anyone has any recommendations, you can let us know, or maybe even back to our pilot reviews, or even, as James mentioned the other day, like documentaries or anything like that as well.
Aye. Fire it on Twitter, mate, to see what the feelings like, mate, and you can base it on that as well, and just talk about it and see what happens. Just need to see, mate.
Yep. So Eulogy's up next.
Cool. So Black Mirror, Eulogy. I need to watch that at some point this week. You saw it yet?
No, I'll watch it during the week. It's only 47 minutes, this one. Your one's an hour and 30 minutes, so it's basically a movie.
Jesus. Right, okay. Also, I'm going to have to watch USS Callister again before it, so I can...
Aye, that's a good shout, although that's probably quite long as well.
Just to give the podcast justice.
It was an hour 16, so... But we got a wee while to watch them, a few weeks anyway, so...
Aye. Right, okay. So, before we go then, finish up, you can follow us on Twitter, Instagram, Threads, TikTok, Blue Sky, and Facebook. And if you could... Well, first of all, thank you for listening and watching if you've got this far. Again, you can check back our previous episodes, give them a like, and please share, subscribe, all the rest of it, and help us grow the channel, because we want to get to 225 subscribers. It is a short and measurable target for us to do. Okay, so you want to add, Colin, before we finish up?
Nah, nothing really here. Like, you've covered it all.
Okay. Well, again, thanks for listening, guys. I'm James. I put an essay on it. Paul has watched Act 2, then Act 1 in the Full Metal Jacket. And Colin?
I hadn't seen it, but I have now.
Goodbye.